Welcome back. Well, 'tis the season for coughing and sneezing, so how do you try and avoid being part of the population with a cold, or worse yet, the flu? Dr. Keri Peterson is a regular contributor to the Today Show and is board certified in internal medicine. We're ready to solve some of our cold and flu mysteries. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You know, this time of year, we want something to fix anytime we get sick. So let's kind of break down, because you've got 3 tips to start with to keep us healthy and through this cold and flu season. Where do you want to start?
Well, the 3 most important tips are: number 1, wash your hands regularly for a full 20 seconds with soap and water. Number 2, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, because that's how we spread germs to ourselves. And number 3, get your flu shot.
I think it's so tough because, you know, I'm a nail biter, so I'm often, you know, have my fingers around my face, and I think especially kids too, you know, we do those things, and we do get sick. At some point, a lot of times we get sick. So how can we alleviate those symptoms, and is chicken noodle soup really going to solve some of them?
Well, there's no cure for the cold or the flu, but there are certain things you can try to alleviate symptoms, and yes, chicken soup is one of them. It has antioxidant properties, which helps boost your immune system, and it also hydrates well. The next tip is get plenty of rest. If you have a sore throat, you can use saltwater gargles, and if you have a fever, you can try a cool, damp washcloth. For breathing issues, I suggest using a humidifier, and there have been studies that have found that the flu virus thrives in dry environments. So if you keep the humidity in your home between 40 to 60%, then using something like a Vicks humidifier can actually help reduce the survival of the flu virus in your house.
Is there a difference between cool and warm mist humidifiers?
There is no difference. It's really just a matter of preference.
Okay, that's great. How about in terms of keeping your sick child home? You know, we saw some imagery of a child that's sick. When do we know when we should keep them home from school?
Well, there's 3 questions as a parent that you should ask. The first is, does my kid have a fever? And if they have a temperature of 101 or more, then you should keep them home. So the first step in gauging what to do is by taking their temperature. And I work with Braun, and they offer the ThermoScan ear thermometer. It is the #1 among moms and pediatricians, and it is very accurate in the ear canal because it is very close to the eardrum, which shares the same blood supply as the brain's temperature control center. Now, the next question to ask is my child able to engage in class? And if they're not, then you should keep them home. There's just no purpose. They're not going to be able to learn or play. And then lastly, are they contagious? If so, then don't send them to school.
I think it's a good rule for adults too. You know, when we're thinking about going to work or staying home, that's a good rule of thumb for us as well. What's the biggest cold and flu myth that you often see people believing?
I would say it is that people think antibiotics kill colds and flu, and they don't. They only kill bacteria, and colds and flu are viruses.
Question for you on the chicken noodle soup, because this is something I always like when I'm sick. It's comforting because I always did it as a child too. Does the chicken noodle soup matter if it's homemade or out of a can?
No, it doesn't matter actually. It's been studied and both have benefits.
That's great. That makes my day. Thank you.
Is there anything easier?
Yes. Is there anything you want to leave us with about cold and flu season that might be a nice tip or last thought?
Well, I do advise everyone get your flu shot. One of the myths is that the flu shot can cause the flu, but I promise you it cannot. So schedule that appointment, and you can learn more at VicksHumidifiers.com.
I love it. Thanks so much for joining us, Doctor. That was really great information.
Thank you.
Absolutely.